And we're joined now by Dr. Harley Stock. He is the managing partner of Global Secure, which is an international crisis management consulting firm based here in South Florida.
And included in his long and impressive resume is work with the FBI and the Secret Service, and we're glad you're here on this difficult day. And so many of us are trying to wrap our heads around what happened in Vegas and the type of crime that this man carried out, the way that he went about it. When you think about sort of the way that he booked himself into this hotel room, banged out two windows that gave him two different angles, knew obviously that there was going to be thousands of people right below for this outdoor concert. What jumps out at you?
It's not typical, right? His age sets him apart from what we see, about 64 years old. And your comment is correct. This is a very sophisticated tactical operation. I heard the mayor of Las Vegas today call the guy a lunatic. He's absolutely not a lunatic. Everybody say you got to be crazy to do something like this,
right.
But it's not. This is a well-planned operation. It takes us back to the guy who shot from the University of Texas, Charles Whitman. The tower 50 years ago. That guy happened to have a brain tumor, but that's not an excuse. This guy's not mentally ill, well calculated. But here's the question: what's the motivation? Right?
Yeah.
And he was shooting. Who was he shooting at? Innocent people that he couldn't identify. But what was the common denominator there for country music? What does country music represent? Mostly in America. I don't want to paint with too broad a brush,
right.
But a fairly conservative orientation. So, you know, here's a way for him to get back at huge amounts of people indiscriminately, make a mark, and leave the world the way he did.
So I hear you say he's not mentally ill. We know his father was a bank robber.
Yeah.
He was on the FBI's most wanted list, and he was classified by the FBI at the time as a psychopath.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's any kind of, if that's a trait that maybe can be passed down to children.
Yeah, there certainly is what's called comorbidity, a genetic passing down of some antisocial behaviors. But you would also see that over time. Prior arrests in this guy, this guy was off everybody's radar screen. That's what makes him so scary.
Now, of course, we've got to go through his computers, his cell phones, whatever investigators are able to find to try to figure out a motive. What is the toughest part about this part of the investigation?
There are so many pieces of data to put together and so few people who know it. The girlfriend, who's overseas now, is obviously a person of interest. They say they're going to talk to her when she gets back. That's not what's going on. The FBI's legal attaché, they're talking to her right now. Yeah, so she's being talked to and interrogated, and they'll find out what's happening.
Is this something that could have been carried out without her knowing? All of the ammo that was purchased, all of the guns that he had in his possession, his trip to Vegas. Is this something that could have happened without her or anyone else knowing?
Only if she was unconscious. Other than that, it would be impossible for her to be around him for any period of time to have this kind of planning take place without her being aware of something.
I have to ask you real quickly before we let you go, the debate now about gun regulations, gun safety. Everybody's talking about it, whether or not this is the time to have this discussion. As someone who's worked so closely with law enforcement over the years, is now the time to talk about gun laws?
No.
No.
We have to let things cool down.
Yeah.
Do it at a level head at a time where we can have a rational discussion.
Dr. Harley Stock is the managing partner of Global Secure, which is an international crisis management consulting firm based right here in South Florida. We're glad to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for your insight.
My pleasure. Of course.
Thank you.
Well,